This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, December the 29th, is to be an NFL head coach. He was a 15-year head coach with the New Orleans Saints, helping them win the 2009 Super Bowl for the first ever title. He actually played 1 year for the Chicago Bears professionally. And then he started becoming an offensive assistant at San Diego State University, which brought him to several coaching positions on college and NFL teams until he became the head coach of the Saints in 2006. He's known for his offensive prowess with points and yards. He has the second longest NFL single team tenure among active head coaches. He was behind Bill Belichick before he retired. Under his leadership, the Saints made a massive turnaround from a disastrous 2005 season to 2006, and of course, winning the title, getting them all this much. He did lose a season because of the Bounty Gate scandal, but still, he was good. He's Sean Payton, who's now 59 years old. So Sean Payton played for Eastern Illinois and was not drafted in the 87 draft. But Payton tried out for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he was playing in the Arena Football League for both Chicago and Pittsburgh. And his rights were sold to the Canadian Football League's Ottawa Rough Riders for $1 million. $1,000, sorry. So he was a Rough Rider. But he would actually be playing in the NFL as part of the Chicago Bears squad. Now, of course, 87 was the year of the player strike, and then the NFL decided to use replacement players instead of letting another lockout happen. So anyway, Payton was the quarterback for the Bears and would only throw for 79 yards. He went to the UK and he decided to become a head coach. So he became an offensive assistant at San Diego State University, and then became assistant coach at Indiana State, Miami of Ohio, Illinois, and San Diego State before becoming the Eagles QB coach in 97. So Sean Payton actually worked with Marshall Faulk when Faulk was playing for San Diego State. And he also helped lesser teams like the Miami Redhawks and the University of Illinois do well. So anyway, he was the quarterback coach for a couple of years. Unfortunately, after a disastrous 1998 season, he would be fired by new head coach Andy Reid. Then he became the head quarterbacks coach for the Giants. Then moved up to offensive coordinator for the 2000 Giants that got to Super Bowl 35 with that pasting of the Minnesota Vikings 41-0. He actually locked himself in the stadium and sleep on the couches while staying plays during off days. In fact, the Giants played the Broncos on Monday Night Football. It's September 10th, 2001. But at 6:45 a.m., their flight actually was gated at the gate in New York next to United Airlines Flight 93, the one that was hijacked and crashed in Pennsylvania. It's just unbelievable how Sean Payton and the Giants were that close to things. But anyway, Payton couldn't do well with the Giants. He became a quarterback coach for the Cowboys in 2003, helping them out, with Quincy Carter, Finney Testaverde, and Drew Bledsoe all getting 3,000-yard passing seasons. And pushed the team to sign Tony Romo, who was an undrafted free agent. So anyway, he was assistant head coach for the Cowboys, but then New Orleans came calling. New Orleans needed some help because the 2005 season was disastrous. Not only did the Saints go 3-13, not only did the Saints were rumored to leave New Orleans for probably San Antonio, but Hurricane Katrina ruined their stadium. The Superdome would be home to the homeless, and that stadium was just disastrous. Anyway, yeah. But Payton got the head coach job in New Orleans and turned the team around, one of the best turnarounds of all time. He gave them 10 wins, which won them the NFC South and got them a bye into the divisional round, which was amazing. Payton got Reggie Bush, who was a good running back, and Drew Brees, free agent quarterback. New Orleans took care of Philadelphia in the divisional round and then faced the Chicago Bears for the NFC title, but the Bears crushed them 39-14. But he was still named Coach of the Year, obviously. The Saints, after a couple of bad years in 2009, won 13 games, which was amazing for them. They got all the way to the Super Bowl, well, mostly due to Brett Favre being stupid and not running the ball for a few yards to get Longwell into field goal range, instead of throwing a terrible playoff interception, which basically defined his career. The Saints would take on the Colts. I picked the Colts to win because I'm like, Peyton Manning deserves another ring. Well, incorrect, Mr. Diamond. Sean Payton used the surprise onside kick in the third quarter as a catalyst. The Saints won 31-17, and Tracy Porter had the pick six. So anyway, Sean Payton published a book called Home Team, Coaching the Saints and New Orleans Back to Life, and it was actually number 8 on the bestseller list of the New York Times. Payton actually broke his tibia and MCL in a collision with a helmet from Jimmy Graham after Graham was tackled on the sidelines. So anyway, Payton would have to coach from the booth during rehab. But it worked out, kind of. Payton signed a couple of big contract extensions with the Saints. And in Christmas Eve 2016, he finally became the man with the most head coaching wins as the Saints, for the Saints, passing Jim Mora. Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. Playoffs? How would we win a game? Well, they did. Anyway, the 2017 season saw the Saints shockingly lose to the Vikings in what they call the Minneapolis Miracle. The Saints were looking good in the division round against Minnesota. I had New Orleans down. I'm like, this was it. Of course, Case Keenum throwing the pass to Stephon Diggs, who evaded Marcus Williams and ran to the end zone for the touchdown. Minnesota won. Of course, I was steamed. The Saints then won 13 games for the 2018 season and would face the LA Rams. Unfortunately, that game would be controversial because of the missed call by the referees. They missed the pass interference of the Rams cornerback's hit on the Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, which he went for the player, not the ball. The Saints would lose that game on a 50-plus yard field goal in overtime. The NFL said they missed the call, but they didn't apologize for a week and a half. However, they did change the rule saying that they could challenge PI calls, but that only lasted for the one season. The Saints put up 13 wins in 2019, but somehow in the wildcard playoffs, they got shocked by Minnesota 26-20 in overtime. So the Vikings got it to them again. I was like shocked. Was this the first season with 7 teams or something? No, the wildcard. I'm surprised. Well, San Fran and Green Bay got better records than New Orleans. That shocked me. I thought for sure that the Saints would have definitely got into the top 2. But yeah, 13 wins and you have to be put into the wild card and lose to the Vikings of all teams. Anyway, he decided to step down after Drew Brees said he would step down. 161 wins for the Saints. That's not half bad. And Miami figured they wanted him, but there was issues and all that. The Dolphins offered him a contract, but nope, he said no. Unfortunately, though, the Dolphins were fined $1.5 million and lost their 2023 first-round pick because of impermissible communication with Sean Payton and also Tom Brady. So anyway, but unfortunately, though, Sean Payton will be defined by Bountygate, in which the Saints use a bounty program that rewarded players for deliberately knocking opposing players out of games. It has been done before. It was administered by defensive coordinator Greg Williams. But of course, Sean Payton kind of took part in it and didn't really give information. So he was suspended for 1 season and all that. It wasn't good and all that. So anyway, he served his 1-year sentence, and still was able to coach the Saints. Well, he was reinstated. So 152 and 89 in the regular season for the Saints, 9 and 8 in the postseason, including that run to win the Super Bowl in 2010. So Sean Payton did okay. The Saints were a sad sack team that rarely won playoff games. So he brought back everything. So yeah. So Sean Payton decided to work in studio in 2022 with Jerry Johnson taking off days and all that. And then he decided to join the NFL coverage on Amazon. Payton and his wife were met at Indiana State. They have 2 children, Megan and Connor. So anyway, it doesn't work that badly. But anyway, yeah, unfortunately, they did file for divorce and all that. 2012. But he did get married in 2021 to his girlfriend, Skylene Montgomery. Sean Payton, unfortunately, would become the first player/coach to have COVID. So that's another negative mark on Sean Payton. But the positive mark is he brought New Orleans to the Super Bowl. And that city was hurting and all that. So he brought respectability back to the city of New Orleans. And you can't beat that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.